What's up, YouTube? This is Too Raw for TV. All right, just a quick reminder. More and more of our content is going to have to go on the Patreon because of restrictions, further restrictions on YouTube when it comes to free speech. Certain people coming to YouTube trying to get a lot of us, especially those of us in the LWC, pushed off of this site, and I'm not joking about that. You know what I'm saying? They're really trying to put the screws to us, you know what I'm saying? So as a consequence of this, more and more of our content is going to have to go on other sites. With me, I have the Patreon and the Rumble, but a lot of my stuff's going to go up to the Patreon, all right? There's a $2 tier and a $5 tier. The $5 tier, you get to see everything. Sports, politics, social issues, all that stuff. The $2 tier is strictly for politics, social issues, potpourri topics, controversial things, but it's pretty much that topic. And you'll be locked into seeing those things, but you won't be able to see what's on the $5 tier. The $5 tier sees everything. Just want to put that out there. So that's why I've been, my language has been cleaned up on here. I can't talk the way I want to normally talk. Can't talk about certain issues on here. Can't talk about certain subjects on here anymore. It's kindergarten time. All right. So it is what it is, man. You know what I'm saying? So if you come to me, hey, can you talk about this? Sometimes I can't talk about certain things over here. I might have to talk about it on the Patreon or on the Rumble. So I hope you guys understand that. And it ain't my fault. It's the new regime, and it has something to do with a certain entity that I talk about a lot that's trying to control YouTube, sports talk. They already did it on TV. Now they're trying to do it on here. So that should be a clue to what I'm talking about. All right, so I want to talk about this little tit for tat that's recently gone on between Draymond Green and Shawn Marion. Shawn Marion, of course, former NBA player, played many, many years. I want to say played something like maybe 16 years, 17 years in the NBA, a long time. Shawn Marion's best years, of course, I believe, were with the Phoenix Suns. And Shawn Marion recently came out and said that he thought that he was a better defender than Draymond Green, but at the very least a better one-on-one defender than Draymond Green. Saying that, basically, look, when I was playing the Phoenix Suns, I had to play usually 1 through 5, you know what I'm saying? Not through a couple of series, not for stretches of the game, for the entire games. I had to play the other team's best player, no matter who they were, or what position they were playing. Draymond came back and said, look, man, just recently in playoff runs, I had to guard Jaylen Brown, and he mentioned someone else. I can't remember who it was. It might have been Nikola Jokic that he mentioned, to just give you a variety of who he's had to guard, to give you a breakdown of players that he's had to guard. And look, this is my position on this. Young people, of course, are going to say Draymond Green. Although I'm not as enthralled with Draymond as other people are. A lot of people say this guy is an all-time great defender, top 5, top 10. I think that's bull. I do think he was at his peak a great defender, but all-time, nah. Now, look, Draymond does have a Defensive Player of the Year. Shawn Marion does not. But you could also explain this by a couple other things. Draymond sticks out like a sore thumb in an era where defense is almost not even played anymore. You had former NBA player Jabari Parker said, infamously, I don't get paid to play defense. I don't get paid enough to play defense, something to that effect. Whereas Shawn Marion was playing in an era that was known for guys still playing defense, great defenders, and sometimes, look, he was overshadowed by guys who had great defensive reputations, While Shawn Marion was still known as a guy that was all around player who was talented even from an offensive standpoint. But Shawn Marion did get comparisons coming into the NBA to Scottie Pippen. But he was playing in an era that had guys like Ben Wallace and Ron Artest. Now, of course, what is it? Sandifer, World, whatever the hell his name is now. Bruce Bowen, Roger Bell, Alonzo Mourning, you know what I'm saying? Kendall Gill. The list goes on about the era that he played in. Kevin Garnett, Marcus Camby, so Tyson Chandler or whatever. So you had a lot of guys who were known for their defensive abilities. But Shawn Marion literally did have to play against the other team's best offensive player. You know what I'm saying? I think a lot of people forget because of the pecking order of the Phoenix Suns. You had Nash, you had Amari Stoudemire, who was a beast before he got hurt. You know what I'm saying? You had, who else was on those teams? I can't remember who else was on those damn teams. Well, they were the main two guys. But Shawn Marion was very important on the defensive side of the ball for the Phoenix Suns, who were not noted for their defense. You know what I'm saying? Because Steve Nash was a defensive liability. So you had to kind of try to make up for that. And Shawn Marion, people got to remember, like, what was it, 2005, 2006? Stoudemire missed almost the entire season because of the knee injury. I think he missed either all the season or like a couple of games he played and that was it. But they still won 54 games that year. And that was largely because of the play of Shawn Marion. Shawn Marion, let me try to look it up. Shawn Marion averaged 21.8 points, 11.8 rebounds, 1.8 steals, 2 blocks, and what was that? 1.7 assists. So he was 15th in scoring in the NBA, 3rd in rebounding, 5th in steals, 17th in blocks, 12th in PER rating. And he was only one of 4 players to average 20 points per game and 10 rebounds. The only other players to do that at that time were Yao Ming, Kevin Garnett, Elton Brand. Shawn Marion led the Phoenix Suns in every major statistical category outside of assists. He led the Phoenix Suns in PER. He led them in win shares, which is a complex, sometimes flawed, but complex and usually reliable statistic that shows a player's impact on that team's winning. So for him to lead that team in win shares shows how important Shawn Marion was to the Phoenix Suns. He led them in win shares per 48. He led them in net rating. And his defensive numbers were incredible. Although Phoenix's overall defensive numbers were bad. I mean, just Mike D'Antoni's teams were bad on defense. But his individual defensive numbers were incredible. This is a guy that would guard bigs. Like, he was guarding Elton Brand. He was guarding Zebo. He was guarding Kevin Garnett. But he would also guard, and multiple times, because remember, they played the Lakers twice in a row in the playoffs in 06-07, and I'm trying to remember whether he was still there in 2010. He may not have been there anymore by 2010. But the fact remains, back-to-back playoff years, he had to guard Kobe Bryant not just during the regular season, but back-to-back playoff series. He was guarding Kevin Garnett. He was guarding Brandon Roy. He was guarding at a time when, you know what I'm saying, the focus was more on one-on-one play. Not to say it's not focused today, but, you know, a lot of time guys are, you know what I'm saying, driving and kicking. Driving and kicking is kind of predictable. Back then, man, games were decided often on one-on-one matchups. And he had to go against Kobe Bryant, the best ball handler in the NBA, the best one-on-one player in the NBA. Well, not the best ball handler, but the best one-on-one player in the NBA. Then another night he had to go up against a big, but he had that size and versatility. He had that 7-foot wingspan. He was what? 6'7", 215, long arms, and you know what I'm saying? I mean, the Matrix, man. People forget about this dude, man. Even when he was with the Dallas Mavericks, and he was like toward the end of his group, like toward his prime years. That playoff run, he guarded, Brandon Roy, LaMarcus Aldridge, right? Kobe Bryant, Pau Gasol, Russell Westbrook, Kevin Durant, James Harden, Dwayne Wade, and LeBron James. These are the players that he was guarding. This is the versatility of players that he was guarding. And he never got credit for it because he was never on any all-defensive teams. And the reason why he was never on any all-defensive teams is because the Phoenix Suns never had a reputation for being a defensive team. So he was being penalized for that. But it's egregious. It's a crime. I think he's possibly the most criminally underrated player of his generation, Shawn Marion. It's terrible. I swear, man, if Phoenix had a different coach and if their point guard had been more like Jason Kidd, they may have won a championship. You know? But that's just me. I mean, obviously, he was a better player than Draymond Green. And, yeah, I think his versatility on defense gets forgotten. So, yeah, I don't think that it's at all cap to say that Shawn Marion was a better one-on-one defender and a more versatile one-on-one defender than Draymond Green. But, you know, young people are not going to say that because they're not going to see that argument because it's Draymond Green and the media brainwashes everybody with all this crap, whatever, you know. But that's just me, you know what I'm saying? People might disagree with me, but look at some Shawn Marion highlights, even though highlights don't really tell you the whole story, and just do a little research. I remember watching this dude, man, and, you know, at the end of the day, I always felt like he was their, I wouldn't say he was their best. It's hard to say. Was Shawn Marion the Suns' best overall player? No, but he was their most important player. He was their most important player. You know, Amari Stoudemire was their most dominant player. Steve Nash was, quote unquote, their MVP, the engine that made the team run. But without Shawn Marion, that team would have got exited in the first round every year, in my opinion. You know, and the fact that he was never on any all-defensive teams is a complete and total, that's a debacle.